Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back down the rabbit hole. My name is Monty Hook and I am your host. And today I am joined by the lovely Chef Cynthia Louise. How are you?
Fabulous.
Thank you so much for coming into my humble villa studio. It's amazing to have you here. What do you think?
I think it's amazing.
Yeah.
It's very humble. Humble's good. Humble's where it's at.
So one of the reasons I wanted to bring you in and talk to you is because the work that you do with food, and we'll get into a little bit of that, you do with a lot of passion and a lot of vibrancy. And that's, I'm very curious about people who have created businesses around something that they're so passionate about and they can just really throw their whole lives into, which you obviously have. And your food is amazing. I've got some here. Maybe I'm going to try this.
You have a cookie saved.
Try this live. I will try this live for sure. But so first question is, what are you actually known for?
What am I known for?
Yeah.
To bringing ease into one's space in the kitchen. To bringing that sense of love and care when it comes to feeding your organs. To giving you an opportunity to feel out of the dieting and the food trends and the body issues and the fads and the wellness industry and bringing it directly back to nature where you belong. Really simple. That's what I'm really known for. And of course, my recipes.
Yeah, I think when I watch you, you're actually really good on camera, and the stuff that you do, you have a program teaching people at home how to make really beautiful, amazing food, and you're really vibrant in front of the camera. And it's like, you can just tell that you love what you do and you put your heart and your soul into your craft. Here's a really interesting question for you. Like, one thing I've always been curious about is, some people say, and this is what I believe also, is that food tastes different when it's prepared with love, right? How do you explain that to people? Because logical people would say that makes no sense at all, right? So how do you explain that to people? Like, when you're teaching people about food and the preparing food with love and beautiful ingredients, like how do you talk people through that?
This is a really, really great question, because this is exactly what I do. So you have a recipe, right? You have an ingredients, you have a method, you have the beginning, middle, and the end. Do you know what I mean? You start the stove, you go through the process. It's actually the energy behind the recipe which I bring to the table. How are you feeling? Where are you at? Are you cooking because you have to, or are you cooking because you're hungry? Are you sitting in a space of there's family around or there's people around, or are you trying to cook? Are you cooking because you want to build something? And where are you at? Do you have 1,000 emails to open? Do you have the washing of the kids coming home? Or is your girlfriend screaming at you, Monty? Or is your dog barking? Where are you at energetically before the recipe unfolds? And so what I bring to the table and bring to the recipe is a thing called a flash tag in the ingredient. And it could say ease, abundance, I love letting go, love. It could say, passion, purpose, resilience. It doesn't matter what it is. It's checking into the vibrational match of the energy of where you're at. Because what happens is we go to make a cookie like the one in front of you, and it's like, I have to make the cookie. I have to make the cookie.
Tell me about the cookie.
But it's actually not about the cookie. It's about the energy behind the cookie. So the cookie is what you're eating in its whole form, or real food form, is a raw cookie. So it's a raw granola cookie full of incredible ingredients.
It's damn delicious.
It's really beautiful. So now when I'm making that cookie in a space of, I want to make the cookie, I can't wait to make the cookie, I want to eat the cookie. The cookie's freaking on point. Now when I'm in a space of anxiousness, lack, sorrow, loss, worry, scarcity, cookie doesn't taste that good. Doesn't taste good at all. But it's the same recipe, same ingredients.
Because in every culture has a food part of the culture, right? And that is usually a mechanism of preparing food with family and friends and sharing it and bringing people together, and that's all built around love and connection, right? But it seems to me that with mass food production and the way that things are made, that's a reflection of, I'm going to say, excuse me, I'm like tasting the cookie in my mouth.
Chewing.
That's a reflection of where humanity is at. Like, humanity is very disconnected from nature. It's very disconnected from each other. We're disconnected, right? And it seems to me that food has kind of gone in that direction as well. So kind of occurs to me that what you're doing is you're actually helping bring people back together to that connection. Does that sound fair?
Yeah, sure. But you got to remember the return of the Industrial Revolution, where we went from grinding things in stone to steel. It's progress. We need to feed the planet.
Yeah.
Okay. So food production and food security and food safety and creating food that's processed, like you're talking about, and stepping out of this way of cooking for family, for friends, for loved ones, for, there's people in the studio here that have family and friends, right? We've escalated and quantum leap to the fact that we've got to feed the planet. But we took out nutrients and put in science, and we just made a silly mistake. I call it a silly mistake, but really at the end of the day, we live in Indonesia. Yeah. The whole basis of community and food culture around here is really simple. It's small amounts of food. It's a gathering. It's cooked once a day, and it's a conversation. We've just got a little bit lost on the way. I wouldn't put it down as such, but we have got a little bit lost. So what I do is I connect the dots back to the genius of the return of the Industrial Revolution, because I think it's a genius moment, right? I really do. When we built microwaves and we created things. And now we're looking at disease in the body and dis-ease in the body. And now we're going, okay, well, maybe we need to go back to that the way we were, with food.
But do you think we're doing enough of that? Because it's almost like we're still in this kind of phase of where this kind of stuff is a little bit woo-woo and it's a little bit fluffy and it's a little bit like left of center or almost alternative, right? And I think that's... how do we bridge that? How do we bridge what you're saying, which I agree with? How do we bridge new technology? How do we bridge this new way of humanity with ancient wisdom and being connected to nature and making food that is natural? Like, how do we bridge those?
Well, I work from 3 pillars, inspiring someone, a human, to educating, to transformation. Inspiration is giving you a deep idea of your organs. You have 78 of them in your body, Monty. 78 organs that play an orchestration of intelligence like no other. You can't imagine what those beautiful organs do. It's really quite exquisite to think about. Inspiring someone to look internal instead of standing in front of the mirror and going, oh, my boobs aren't big enough, or my face is like this and I've got this roll here and I should have more muscles, or whatever it might be. I inspire you to look internal, into the heart, the pancreas, the gallbladder, all the things that you wouldn't really concentrate on. That sparks something in you. And then I educate from that space of, let's pick up some processed food. Let's read it together. Let's not put it down. Let's not pick on it. Let's not Google anything. Let's just read. And then what happens then? The human goes, oh my God, I don't know what 264 is and 124 is and 256 is in the ingredients. And I'm like, well, numbers are for counting. They're not for eating.
Yeah, because all of a sudden they've got this awareness of what they're consuming.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so then we go into the making of it and keeping it very simple, away from the heartache and the push of having to cook, to more of a relationship with the idea that food plays an integral role back into those organs, and transformation happens, and it goes through the family and out to the outer community and so forth and so on. Yeah. And that's how I work from. And I really believe that process brings us back to a more centered idea of around food instead of a push and a shove. And
yeah. So and because what occurs to me is there's people that are kind of pushing the polarities, right? So maybe you can share what your take is on meat and veganism and all these kind of things, but it kind of occurs to me that vegans, whilst they might have a pure intention of wanting us to connect back to nature and have better practices for meat production and all these kind of things, their intention is pure, but the way they go about it is by blasting anybody who eats meat. And my take on that is, like, if you wanted to share what your message is, the best way to do that is come to me with some beautiful vegan food that you've prepared and say, hey, try this, let's eat together. And then I taste that and go, wow, that's really amazing. Now I might feel like I want to explore that more. I want to choose that, but I get to choose that for myself rather than being told that meat is wrong. You shouldn't eat meat.
Has that happened to you?
No, that's just my reflection. I stopped eating meat. What happened with me in 2014 or 15 when I first met you. Actually, let me tell you a story. My first introduction to your food was I was playing poker with a group of guys, some mutual friends, and there was nachos prepared, and it had vegan cashew cheese. And it was my first time to ever try cashew cheese. And I was like, what is this voodoo that is happening to me right now? Like, how is this made from cashews? And I was like, this is the best, like, cheese I've ever eaten in my life, and it's just made from cashews? How is this even possible? And then that just kind of, like, gave me these insights, like, wow, like, this is really amazing. And a lot of this happens in Bali, right? Bali is kind of like this epicenter, this hub for these kind of foods. And it was kind of it was a good moment for me. But at the same time, I was going through a lot of cleansing and fasting. I had really bad parasites. And I went through a process at that time of stopping eating meat. And that gave me this new level of awareness of my body. And now I feel like I'm really in tune with what my body needs. So I kind of go through times where, like at the moment, I'm eating more meat because I've got broken ribs, and I feel like my body needs more collagen, it needs more fats and all this kind of stuff. But I know there'll be a time I'm like, I don't feel like eating meat for a few months,
Beautiful.
right? And I think that awareness of my body has been developed by removing those things out, like taking meat out. How could I know what my body needs if I'm just always jamming it down my throat, right? So what's your take on, let's go to the meat place. What's your take on that?
I don't have one, to be honest.
Yeah.
I, Cynthia, do not operate in dieting or fads or removing. I operate, look, my career is based on dairy free. That's the truth for children with autism. That's how I started. I deal with plants because, you know, my mum said, you're not leaving the table till you finish your veggies, Cynthia.
Yeah.
You've eaten all your chicken, finish your veggies, finish your veggies, finish your veggies. Not getting dessert, finish your veggies. It's as simple as that for me. So when I hear the noise of, you know, I was interviewed this week about veganism, and they're like, how long have you been vegan for? I'm not vegan. Oh, we thought you were, and I'm like, what? And they go, what do you eat? Well, it's none of your business, to be honest.
Yep.
That's how I operate.
Yeah, and this is a really beautiful point, because one of my concerns, I guess, for people who choose to be vegan is that it becomes more about their identity of saying, I'm a vegan and this is where I stand, rather than actually think it's got nothing to do with what they're consuming. It becomes more about the identity. Like I interviewed last week Dominic Rapson, who is a carnivore guy, right? He's known for... Now, just so you know, I'm not pro-carnivore, I'm not pro-vegan, I'm not pro-anything. What I'm curious about is exploring all these different ideas and opening people's minds so that they can experiment and discover what's right for themselves, right? And I think there's little pieces you can take from all of it.
Totally.
Like with Dominic, it's like, I don't think I'm ever going to try the full meat thing. That doesn't feel aligned to me, but I'm not making it wrong. But there's some hints that I got from him, and he's got a very deep knowledge of nutrition, and I got some real hints for me in terms of what's going on for me right now.
That's great.
Right? So I think I love the way that you explain that. I think people need to kind of disconnect from the idea that they're keto or they're vegan or they're this or they're that. So how do people do that? Like, where are people going wrong there?
My job is to amp up the plant in your world, not to take out anything.
Yeah.
And from there, the body, it is just a scientific fact that plants are directly related in some form or another to our blood. The greens, you know, match our blood. There is nutrients in plants. We just know that. There's nutrients in food, in real ingredients. We know that, whether it's animal protein or not. It's irrelevant. It's the fact that my mum said, you are not leaving this table until you finish your vegetables. So my job is to amp up the plant in your world, not to take out or to reduce or to tell you you shouldn't or you should, or it's not where I flow from. I find that very dogmatic. And I get into trouble for this all the time. All the time. I can't believe you're not vegan. I can't believe you can sit there and talk about it's okay for a meat eater to eat meat. It's not my business what you eat. My business is to inspire you to fall in love with yourself and to give you an opportunity to have something a little bit different made from plants, cashew, cheese.
But if there is a choice of meat, and maybe this is something you can comment on, is different meat has different energy.
Yes.
Like the way that it's been raised, the way that it's been killed adds to the energy of the meat, right? So it doesn't matter what you're eating, whether it be plants, whether it be meat, you are consuming that energy, right? And well, this is one thing I believe. And what's your take on that? Because I think a lot of people eat anything, not ever thinking that how that's been prepared, or the factory that it came from, or where it was raised, the kind of grass or whatever it was fed, has any impact on them, right?
It's just education.
Yeah.
It's like salmon, you know, we're told that salmon has omega-3, 6 and 9, and we need to eat salmon. And those omegas sit in the little fatty pockets of the salmon, you know, and we stand in the supermarket and we look in the cabinet and we find the best colour and we go, I'll have that one, that piece. And we take it home and eat it. But no, this is where it gets really beautiful, because imagine I teach you that salmon is quite magnificent. It swims in the ocean and it eats macroalgae, which creates omega-3s. Farm salmon doesn't do that. It's on pellets. It grows from this big to this big in a very small amount of time. And those pellets are what? I don't know. I'm not there making them. How can I even judge? I can't even Google that.
Yeah.
So it's common sense. There's hormones, there's colouring, there's antibiotics, there's fake and synthetic omegas. And those pellets go into the ocean, and the fish, salmon eats them, and then they poo that out, and that falls to the bottom of the ocean, and the whole of that ocean is dead because it can't grow, because it's suffocating like the bottom of that ocean, right? And so then we take the fish, and we're brutal when we kill stuff. Like, I've killed animals for many years. I know how to do it as a chef. And we kill that, we blah, blah, and we take it, and then we eat that. And we're thinking in our minds that this is brilliant for our heart health. But we've missed the step. We've got environmental, you know, pretty intense disaster happening there, especially in the Derwent River in Tasmania where they grow salmon. We've got a complete miseducation on the fact that is synthetic omegas. And then we've got a disconnect of salmon doesn't look that colour. Do you know what I mean? Like, that's just silly. And then we eat it, and then we're like, and then we're in this space, and we don't understand the complete energy of, like you said, it's all of it. It's not just the energy of the animal, how it's raised, it's the environmental factors as well. And I love talking about that. And the same with cows and pigs and chickens. You know, chickens are an energetic tightening flesh. They sit in a cage and they just do this. And they're an energetic tightening flesh. And so they poo on each other. Yeah. And then they're rounded up, especially in Indonesia, chucked in the back of a truck and blah, blah, blah. And we're brutal. Humans are brutal. And then we go forth and we make satay, or whatever we do with it. The complete energy is back where the palate is being fed to that chicken. How is that grown? Is that genetically modified? What does that have an impact on our soil? And that's where I go to. So I start from the very beginning. Yeah. You know, so and educate from there. Instead of going, don't eat chicken. Yeah. It's meat. I don't do that. That's very dogmatic. And my cat ate my dogma years ago.
And I think what you're raising here is the importance of understanding the ecosystem of how everything lives together.
Yes.
Because when we look at, like you said, omega-3s is one thing. It's like, we're told omega-3s are good. But then we look very one-dimensionally at, okay,
actually, it's omega-9s that they tell us that we need to have,
6, 9, all of it. Like, there's 1,000 different vitamins that we're supposed to consume according to the experts, right?
Yeah.
But we look at it very one-dimensionally. It's like, I need D3. Well, let me just go get a bottle of D3, right? Rather than thinking, you know, of the whole ecosystem and how things are prepared.
Yeah.
And I think there's so much more that science needs to tell us around what we're consuming, how the body works. So here's another question for you. What do you, in your experience, the work that you do with people, because you've run retreats, you teach people, what do you see are the diseases or the symptoms that people have that is showing up from bad diet, bad food practices, whatever is happening in their life? What are the common disease that you see?
Autoimmune.
Okay.
And that is a plethora of diseases: celiacs, Crohn's, leaky gut, psoriasis, eczema, fatigue. It could be bowel health. It could be. It's a saucepan of goodies. Autoimmune, and autoimmune is one of the major things that I see. And you get one autoimmune, then you get another, then you get another, and that's how it goes, you know. It's, you know, MS, whatever. It's all autoimmune, and it all comes back to the gut. So that's what I see mostly when it comes to the fact that food is produced, you know, violently. one would say, without concern of not only the planet, but your 78 organs. Like you got to think about this for a minute, right? And this is such a great conversation. I love this stuff. Big industrial factories that produce, say, whatever, I don't know, let's pick on something, a packet of something that is highly processed. Number one, they're not going to let you in there. Remember that. They're not going to let a journalist in there, let alone Monty. They're just not.
Yeah,
they're not. Yeah. So they have no care whatsoever for the consumer's health. They don't. They don't sit there around a table in a beautiful place like this. Okay, Monty, today I'm going to make this 2-minute noodle. I'm going to make sure it serves your 78 organs in your body. And when you bite into it, we're going to make sure that it breaks down and the little fluff inside your digestion can break that down and you can poo and everything's going to be good and you're going to be in flow. They don't have those conversations. They don't give a flying fuck about your health. Yeah. So it's up to you as an individual. Transformation doesn't happen through governments. It happens through individuals.
Yeah, and through our choices,
Yeah, it's up to us, me and you, to really sink into the chair and go, right, without going on Google. Nature gets it right every time.
Yeah.
And when it dictates the meal and it puts it on your plate, you're in the right place. Now, when science does that, you are completely not in a right place. It's that simple.
Yeah. And one of the things I'm not just on the topic of food, but so many things, I think it's really ridiculous that us as humans, it's so arrogant to think that we are above and bigger than nature, that everything that grows out there, it's like, no, let's just ignore that. Let's supersede that and make something in a factory out of petrochemicals and then put that in our bodies and think that that's like, it's such an arrogant thing to think. Like, how do people connect back to that? Yeah. Because it's a big conversation. Big conversation. And what's beautiful about what you do and the food that you're doing and what you're educating people, it seems like that's a gateway for people because it's giving people some awareness, and then they probably start asking different questions like, well, what about my physical environment? You know, like what about the oils? You know, like where you got essential oils, and all these things become a conversation, and then they're thinking about all the environment around them and where am I, and is this conversation healthy for me? Right? It's kind of like it opens up a gateway.
It does, to the powder that washed your shirt.
Yeah.
To the laundry powder. Yeah, it's a beautiful way of watching someone really connect in with nature, because you're right, like it is so incredibly magnificent, and we've just forgotten. Humans aren't stupid. We're not stupid. We haven't done the wrong thing. There's no wrong here. It's just
we forgot.
We had to feed a planet, and we did it in a way that we knew how. We made white bread fabulous.
So do you?
And we added 4,000 ingredients that don't make any sense, but that's okay. We forgive.
But do you think that we're moving the needle on that? Like my perception of what we're discussing here is we've got to move the needle back in the other direction. We've got to connect back to nature. We've got to use healthier foods. Do you think that we're still going in the wrong direction, or do you think that we're at a kind of a tipping point in humanity where we're moving the needle back in the other direction?
I think where it's a magical time to be alive, to be honest. I really do. Like, I'm a kind of a weirdo with this.
So am I. So I feel very optimistic.
Totally right. It's freaking magical. Yeah. And the more, like your loudspeaker right now, what you're doing is brilliant. Because it is nourishing a race, a human race. So I truly believe that we've already been awake. We're not waking up. We're already awake. We're already conscious. There's no way we're not unless we're dead. We just have this ability to shift and lift, and just look at that and go, oh, I'm going to try that with ease. That's what I teach and bring to the table, with ease. Let's just calm it down and let's just go in with ease. Because the last thing a woman, and I'm going to pick on the woman because men rarely cook. There's a few of them that I know, but really.
I can make cashew butter.
I know. That's good.
It.
Cashew butter.
That's all I can make.
That's awesome. But women come home just as men do, and they want to feed and nourish their family the best way they know how. And food labels are shocking, and food and health claims are ridiculous because it takes us in another wrong direction. There is no way me and you would walk into a supermarket right now and a banana is screaming potassium. It doesn't do that. A carrot doesn't scream carotene. It doesn't. There's no label there, right? By me, I have carotene and I'm amazing.
And I have this amount exactly.
Does it? It doesn't. They don't do that, do they? Then you go down the other aisles where all the packaged food is, and then it's like, I am gluten-free and I have extra iron and fiber. you know, and we then buy that. And what it is induced in a synthetic iron. You know what I mean? It's induced in a synthetic way of flavour.
Yeah.
And so it's just a matter of slowly, like plan. Let's calm this shit down. And we touch in with where someone is at, and we gather them up side by side, and we love them and give them an opportunity to tune into this deliciousness that's inside that skin.
Yeah.
And that's how it starts. You know, it really is a magical time to be here.
Yeah, and I think so many things evolve for your life when you have real vitality. Like, I actually think,
Yes.
like, if I look back in how I was 10 years ago or whatever, and how I feel now, and I compare the way that I live to most people, like, people will look at my life and go, that's pretty extreme. Like, I spend a lot of hours a day, you know, taking care of myself and doing practices, which most people don't have the time to do, or they've got plenty of excuses not to do it, or they don't prioritize it, they don't value it.
Yeah.
But I feel like I have real vitality, and I didn't before. And I have to assume so many people, especially in Australia, USA, in Western civilizations, have never felt real vitality. They've never actually felt that. Like, so from being children, you know, because we're fed Milo and we're fed all these things, and it's like, you know, it tastes good.
Don't knock the Milo days.
No, I used to drink like a gallon of milk and just tip the Milo in my mouth.
That's how your mother only knew how to love you, my friend.
Exactly. Yeah. But I kind of get the sense that so many people have never felt that real vitality. And what's been your experience with you educating people on food and giving people access to these resources and tools and the awareness? Like, what are people experiencing when they fully embody that and really take on that new way of living?
Great question. Extreme transformation.
Yeah.
Extreme.
With what?
So, number one, they poo.
Yeah.
You got to imagine this. People don't poo.
Okay, let's go there. Let's talk about shit. How many times a day should people shit?
Well, you eat, you should poo.
Yeah.
You eat 4 times a day, you shit 4 times a day.
Yeah. I shit three to 4 times a day.
Think about where it's at, not the poo. Oh my God.
It's usually in the toilet. Well, it should be. But.
Okay, it's not what it should be, what it should be. This is how it works. In my opinion, one opinion, there's many out there. Okay, there's just one little beautiful woman sitting here next to you. One opinion. Energy in, energy out. Energy in, energy out. Okay? So the body flows with that. It's kind of like the Bali driving on a scooter. You come to Bali and they're like, oh, no one puts their blinker on and stops. It's like water, it just flows.
Yeah.
The Balinese just have this way of flowing. Same as in the internal. So energy in, energy out. So 50 minutes after you eat something, you should be on. Yeah. And that's how you know the body is starting to go in sync and it's being congruent. And it's not out of congruency. And it's having this delicious way of doing what it's designed to do, which is break down food.
Yeah. And if it's really out of sync and then they start this new life, how long does that take to get back into sync?
Oh, 3 days.
Oh, really?
On plants.
Okay.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah.
Bring it on.
Yeah.
Chew it. That's the first point of digestion.
Yep.
Digestion starts in the mouth. It does not start anywhere else.
Yep.
You can chuck down as much apple cider vinegar and lemon juice to spark those acids in that.
Damn
body.
it, Mum was right.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm salivating thinking about it. So food operates like this: seeing, smelling, eating. Don't we? We go on a date. We have a beautiful meal. We're talking to that person. And we're smiling and we're like, oh, this looks amazing, and then the smell of it, and then we eat it, right? It's that process. So what happens with these humans when I say extreme transformation, number one, they're amping up the plant in the world. Number two, they're actually having a romance with the divine nature. They're smelling it. Mm-hmm. Oh my God.
Which in itself is a level of giving them presence, not just to, that moment, but probably gives them access to presence at the rest of the day, right?
Yeah, it does. And a spiritual practice doesn't mean you just meditate in the morning. A spiritual practice is celebrating the mundane. Yeah. Like as soon as I walked in here, you were like, do you know these chairs? They're really, really, really well done and they're quite expensive. It's like that to me is presence.
I was just bragging because they're expensive.
I know, right? No. So, you know what I mean? But it's presence. So with when I said extreme transformation is like humans start to have a deliciousness around tasty goddamn food. Yeah. It just happens to be high in plants, which creates an alkalinity state in the body, which creates the body operating optimally because the cells aren't locked down. And when the cells aren't locked down, that means that nutrients is allowed to go in and it's allowed to come out. And the digestion works beautifully. And that is extreme transformation. And then we have the other parts. Now we start healing certain diseases. Now we start looking at how fatigued I was and now I'm not. Oh my God, I could go to the gym, especially athletes. When I've helped athletes have a high plant-based diet, not knocking out meat or anything like that, it's not my job. Number one, they poo more, but they want to go back to the gym after training, which is unheard of because most athletes go pre-workout, post-workout shakes, protein in between lunch protein, back to the gym, and they're fatigued. They're fucked. I come to the party and I'm like, how about we do this? And they're like, oh my God, I can't sleep. I'm just wired. Yeah. Because the whole system is now flourishing and alkalizing because nature has this ability to match our life.
Here's a really good point, and I'm no expert on this, and this is why I'm asking you, but my knowledge is the digestive system is a massive part of our energy consumption, right? Like I've read that it's 50% of the calories that we burn is from our digestive system, right? Now, obviously, if you're consuming foods that are not good for you, well, it's got to work a lot harder. And then you're in this constant loop of, you've got to feed yourself more to try to get those calories in, but it's not doing what it's supposed to be doing. It's just this endless loop, right? And then when you can start these practices, like you're saying, like eating foods that are really good for you, and it's like, it's less harsh, it's like flowing through your body. Well, then you don't need all that energy, and your energy can go to places like healing your body and to having more energy to go to the gym and being vibrant and doing these things. Expand on that a little bit.
You got to go back to the chewing though. That's where it starts. See, for somebody watching this right now, they're like, what is good food? What's healthy? We're being smashed with food claims. So we have to go back to the simply real food in its whole form. Okay, real food as close to nature intended it to be with low human interference is my gig. So a blender takes the nuts, makes the nut butter.
Yep.
That's low human interference.
Yep.
Got it? Yeah. So we try and we work through that process. Now, chewing is the most important part to activate stomach acids to break down food to create that flow, which creates energy. We have to start here, and that's what we're forgetting. And it's the hardest thing to do. You pick up a fork, put food on and put it in your mouth, and then sit on your hands and chew. It's torturous. Is that even a word? Torturous? It's torturous. I'm going to go with it.
Sounds torturous.
I know, right?
Yeah.
It's horrible because you just shovel, look around, talk, waiting for the next mouth, and that to me is where the body, and you think about juice fasting and things like that and smoothies, they're all pre-digestible, right? So the body has a chance. So we need to be the blender. Yep. That's how we create the energy.
So we need to be the smoothie maker.
We are the smoothie maker.
Yeah.
That's
very good.
I hate smoothies personally. I like milkshakes, but anyway, that's a different story. But you are the blender, and that's where when we move out of the way of, eat healthy and eat out healthy, forget all of that. Just forget that for a minute because it's so complicated. It's more complicated than you think.
And it's different for different people, right?
Then you've got the blood group type, and then you've got the man type, the muscle type, the skinny women type, the high thyroid type, then you've got the keto, paleo, Atkins, fruitarian, raw food, veganism, egans, people vegans and eat eggs, you're like, it just...
Is that a thing?
It's a thing.
Egan?
Yeah, totes. It's a thing. There's so many things. And it's so confusing, and all this woman is standing there doing is hating herself because she's so depressed and so upset with her thighs, she polishes off a packet of whatever, and then she crucifies herself because she did that, and then jumps on the treadmill the next morning.
Yeah, it's a very unhealthy pattern.
It's a vicious pattern.
Yeah.
Like I can stand in front of the mirror naked and fall in love with myself because I have this ability to deeply understand the organs. Now, teaching that to someone when they've grown up with, especially women, with body issues, and in this day and age, we're confronted with Insta models constantly, it's crazy. And so to get the food to like cashew cheese or whatever it might be, nachos, like I make a great 2-minute noodles, spaghetti bolognese, whatever, potato bake, whatever it is that you can put on the table for a family meal and amp up those plants and chew, more energy happens. And digestion is the point of call, really. And don't forget too, like there are 3 brains, Monty. There's the head, the heart, and the gut. And they are 3 brains. And it's really interesting because this is how I've always operated on. The heart has a memory. I take your heart, I put it into old mate's heart. He lives in the UK. He's going to have traits of Monty. How is that even possible? How is that possible? It's so fascinating.
Yeah, it is.
Okay.
Yeah.
The brain and the gut. How come the gut can dictate depression, mood swings, premenstrual, menstruate? Women get period pains. It's ludicrous. They shouldn't have that. So the gut is so out of whack. So when I teach or facilitate or bring to the table this deliciousness, I'm connecting the 3 brains, number 1. I'm allowing them to understand that energy creates through chewing, and then this beautiful heart, the feeling. So it's the thinking, the feeling, and the doing, right? That's my 3 pillars.
Yeah.
And so that nacho cheese is a fantastic example, because that's going to stay in your memory forever. You're going to remember you forever because of that, because you're going to think back.
Yeah, that's why I love you. The cheese, the cashew. If
Because
you've not
that's the only
tried the
reason.
cashew
That's
cheese,
the only reason.
is there a recipe
There's
for the?
no other reason.
Is there a recipe for that cashew cheese?
Absolutely, I should give that to you.
Get the recipe.
But that's in your heart. That's a feeling, right? Now your brain was like, what the fuck? And your gut was like, thanks for coming. This is easy for me to break down. I have energy. Yeah.
So this kind of brings me back full circle to this idea of the ecosystem, right? It's like our body is an ecosystem, and when the ecosystem is out of whack, well then it's like if the flower is sick in the garden outside, it's like, well, you don't try to fix the flower, you fix the ecosystem. There's something wrong. There's the light, there's this, there's that. So when something, we get a symptom of, depression or something that's happening, it's like we try to, modern medicine would say, try to solve it there, right? And it's very one-dimensional how we kind of look at things. But when you can focus, like the way you're describing this is you're embracing the love of the whole ecosystem. Yeah, it's really it's very powerful what you're doing. So
it is.
Good on you, Cynthia.
Thanks, mate.
Let's talk a little bit about your business journey, because you're...
One more thing though.
Yeah.
I just want to put this out there. You are what you think more than you are what you eat. Remember that.
Okay.
Very important. Because where thoughts go, energy flows. It's super, super important. And so I truly believe that you get what you are, not what you want.
Yes.
Vibration matches health when you don't ache for it. I need to be, I want to be, you don't understand, Monty, keto works for me, meat works for me, veganism is really good for me, blah. No. You must sink into the deliciousness of what you're becoming and focus on the vibrational match instead of messing around in the ecosystem, because that's what fucks gut bacteria.
Yeah.
So where thoughts go, energy flows.
Yeah. But on that also, we probably choose foods which is a vibrational match for our thoughts.
100%.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
100%. I agree with you.
Yes.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
Let's touch on your business journey a little bit, because
Love to.
one thing I'm super curious about always is people that are brilliant in their craft, who are artists in what they do, quite often struggle with the entrepreneurial journey, right? Because there's so many moving parts, and you've got to hire this person, there's marketing, and there's all these things, and it almost kind of can take you out of your flow, out of your element, right? Now, this is just an observation of me interviewing other people and having mentored a lot of people. What's your journey like? Has that been a thing for you? Have you always been a really good entrepreneur? Or tell me about your entrepreneurial journey, and what's that relationship been like between being in flow with your art and the business journey?
Well, it's so interesting. My dad, I love my dad. He taught me how to work. It's very different to being an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
So I'm a worker, and I'm proud of it, because I don't stop until it's done. I just have this ability. I was welding radiators at the age of 15. I was down my dad's workshop. I was looking stamps on my mother's envelopes, dusting the shelves in his marine shop, driving the Land Cruiser at the age of 14, running into his diesel engines because he owned Volvo. So I'm brought up to work, not to dream. If I'm to dream, I'm to action. So I'm a different human. This word, I mean, I teach at the Entrepreneurial Institute about wealth and health and how they're interconnected and they're not separate. You don't get really, really wealthy and then look after your health. That's retarded. So I am like this. I am entrepreneur. It's such a it's so I just, it's not that I don't resonate with the word. It's like I'm a doer. I'm a chef, right? So my nature is, you write me a list, I'm going to go and do it. But I'm only going to do it if I'm actually in passion in it.
Yeah.
I don't do anything that's out of my alignment.
Yeah.
I have done actually a few years ago where I stepped out of my own passion and gave it to someone else to operate, and I felt really disconnected, but I wanted them to shine. Do you know what I mean? I think it's a beautiful trait that I have. But then it lowered dumbed my shine. And so I was out of that. So I can see how that didn't match the entrepreneurship or the business side, because she was wobbling. Because, you know, I need to do stuff. My highest value is not wealth. My highest value is health. Yeah. And my highest value that I value myself on is being busy. It's a bit of a sickness.
So how does somebody who's watching this and they've got a gift like you, they've got an art like you, they're an artist like you, but they struggle with this business side to get that out there and share their gifts with the world? Like how do they
Well, yeah,
how do they do that?
I know what you're saying. I never wanted to be online, number one. Let's just remember that. It wasn't in my nature. I have restaurants, and I've owned a food court and fish and chip shop and a vegan establishment. I make you the food, you give me the money, you leave. That's how I operate. I've always operated like that. It's been fabulous. I've had dress shops. I've always been in business, Monty. And with someone that's coming into the game, especially the online world, I've always had people that have helped me go online, by the way. So let's not forget that. This is not just done by me. Yeah. I've had amazing operation managers.
Yeah, and this is, I guess, what I'm alluding to is what's been your journey like in building that team around you to support you in your art?
So for me, I must know everything: back end, front end, refund end, policy end, systems, procedures, Infusionsoft, which I call Confusionsoft. I must know it. I treat my business like a recipe, and I encourage every single person to do the same thing. I think it's super important. Then you go and get your team. So my team are all women. Yeah. No disrespect to men, but I have this sense that, and then I hire outside a consulting firm. I hire outside, but I really do believe that you must school yourself on all aspects of what's behind that computer screen. Yeah. You must, because there is no way that you would pour Coca-Cola down there. You're not even going to pour it down your throat, really, because we know that's highly acidic. But we're not going to put shitty systems in that thing. So that's what I've learned being in business online in the last, say, 9 months, is knowing every aspect about it. And I would never have done that because I've stayed in my lane. Oh, your passion's cooking. You don't need to do that. You don't need to be in that meeting. Bullshit. Go into the meeting. Sit back and listen to the amazing experts. Yeah, and also to make sure that everything that is being talked about is on point with your brand, because your 100%. Brand is so important, because your brand, your art is your brand, and if somebody's out there on your behalf, promoting you, doing this, it's like, if it's just not all in alignment with your personal brand, your art, well, it's gonna go off somewhere. I cut all my deals. Yeah. Anything that comes into my system, into my inbox, I have not a VA, EA. What's the other one above that? I have high level EAs. Yeah. I don't do VAs. Yeah. And I sit back and I sink into the chair and I read it and I feel into it, and I'm like, oh wow, this is right. This feels good. Yeah. So now how do I negotiate from there? Easily. Transparency is king. Yeah. I don't focus on the I need to get this much and this much out of it and how many followers you have. I'm not interested. I'm interested in conversation, and I'm interested in connection. And then I go forth and do the things. But I know the whole process. I know the media form they've filled out. I developed it. I know where it goes to. I know the back end, the front end. And I just really believe that knowing all that just makes me sink into the chair a little bit more. Then I can really focus on my stuff instead of being naive, to be honest. Yeah. 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 That's very good points. Yeah. So tell us a little bit about your business. Like, as of the moment, like, you selling programs online,
Obviously, the retreats and stuff that you've done through 2020, that's kind of dissolved a little bit. So what's your focus? What's your focus now? And how are you using this time in 2020 as an opportunity to kind of...
Everything's an opportunity.
Exactly.
Doesn't matter what day it is.
To reinvent, or what's 2020 been like for you in your business?
Like every other year for me.
Yeah.
It's like, for me, it's I have products, I have online products, and I have retreats, okay? And then I'm a public speaker.
So you have cooking classes, recipes,
Yes.
and all of that, and people can buy into that.
So I have online products, which are ebooks and actual cooking classes that stream 24/7 on any device, and I show you how to make that cookie with the energy attached behind us and the simplicity of it, and I walk through the process, and you get to talk to me. It's really cool.
Yeah.
Because it's pre-recorded, but you get to talk to me. I get to answer your questions because it's in a back-end system. It's beautiful. Yeah. And I have over 10,000 students.
That's cool.
I know, right?
Yeah.
So great. And so I have that, and which I love. I love filming. I adore it. I think it's amazing being able to articulate what you love on camera. I think it's amazing, like what you're doing. And then I have physical products, health products, health food products. I actually like to call them lifestyle choices, to be honest. So I have a equivalent to a Vegemite. And if you know Vegemite or Promite or whatever like that, I have the equivalent to it, which is made with real ingredients.
What's it called? It's
called My Pro B and My Pro B Plus. And My Pro B Plus is like the up version of the funk, more fermentation. And My Pro B is the gluten-free version. Mm. And then I have Lighten Up Loaf, which is a colon cleanse loaf of bread. I know, right? It's epic. And then I have 5 other products. I'm not going to tell you about them, but they're coming out this year.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, and I have other things that I can't really say right now.
That's cool.
That's okay. And I also am a contributor to FM TV and Gaia TV, and also now in a deal with another TV company. So that's what I do. And then my physical retreats, which is not my gig, by the way. I love working in them, and I love facilitating in them and being a co-host, but it's never my thing to have a retreat. It's always someone else's dream. Yeah. This is not my gig. But I did one, and yeah, it was all right. It's great, whatever, it's not my thing. I prefer to make money elsewhere, to be honest. But I get that people want to be with me, and I appreciate that, and I respect that. And that would be the only reason why I'd do another one, because of people, not because of any other reason. And I'd make it cheap as fuck. Yeah. I really would. And because it's just, it's what creates a ripple effect that transforms the world is you.
Yeah, and what's beautiful about what I'm hearing here, and it's probably a really good message for other people out there, is people get so caught up in creating products because the marketing works, or this copy sounds good, or they think that this matches the market, or it's very disconnected to what is their actual purpose and what is their craft, what is their art. And what you're sharing, what I'm hearing is how to just be in alignment, fully connected to that, and create business from that place.
And there's a lot of entrepreneurs out there that are. Yeah. They're fully aligned.
And you're probably very connected to a lot of entrepreneurs who are living their purpose.
100%.
There's a lot of people like us in Bali. There's a huge concentration of passionate entrepreneurs here. And
globally too. I have a lot of friends outside of Bali that are running their own companies and in love with themselves doing it.
And so because you're so connected to a lot of people like us, you probably have some insights into maybe how people can connect to their purpose. Yeah. It kind of feels to me like a lot of people struggle with finding their purpose. Like what's your take on that? What advice can you give to people who trying to connect into their purpose? Because you're obviously somebody who is very passionate, very connected, and it's almost like when I meet people like that, quite often they don't even know how they got there. They're just like, that's just how they are, right? Well,
it's a great conversation. At the moment, I'm building a little cafe in Perth with a friend of mine at the moment, and it's so interesting. What I took him through was, how do you feel when you make that smoothie bowl? Because he's like, how do I do the copy? How do I do the marketing? How do I connect with it? How do people know how to buy it? I'm like, well, number one, what makes your smoothie bowl any different? Absolutely fucking nothing. That's the truth. Okay? And he's like, yeah. And I said, well, let's make it different. How do you feel when you make it? And he's like, I just know that it just makes me feel like I just love the flavor of it, and I love how thick it is, and it feels like ice cream. And when I eat ice cream, I have these memories of a child, and I know that like it's cold, but it's like delicious, and I just don't get full, and I'm like blah blah blah, and I'm like, okay, so that's a feeling, and I go, so let's take that feeling and put it into a word and say love is a word, and I say great, so let's make a stencil. And let's put it on the smoothie bowl, and let's dust some cacao on the bowl and have that word love. That now makes you, now let's write about that. And let's write about the ingredients in the bowl and put context around it. Why is dragon fruit good for you? And then, because he's obviously a coach, and so he knows all that sort of stuff. And so I've helped him build that structure based on feeling. So anyone out there that is passionate about making this microphone or that little fluffy thing or whatever it might be, this jacket or this ring, is like, do you really feel so good when you're doing it? Or do you feel pressure to have to do it?
And how can you bring that connectedness? How can you bring your purpose to that process, to the process?
It's all feeling.
Yeah.
Everything's based on feeling. You get what you are, not what you want. Yeah. And that's the ache of an entrepreneur. I'm going online, I've got this thing, I've got this thing and it's amazing. And you know what, I'm on Instagram, I've got this many followers, and I'm an influencer. I'm not an influencer. I'm an alchemist on the way I operate. It's a feeling. And so when I'm teaching at the Entrepreneurs Institute, it's like, and this is a really cool conversation, because a lot of them are like, they go to this iLab and after they're finished, like completely change their whole business, or they've jumped into another business. Have you noticed that? Like you teach there as well.
There's so many do that. Yeah.
So many do that because,
which is a beautiful thing, by the way.
It's amazing because suddenly they've felt.
Yeah.
From hustled and ached to felt.
Because it's very easy to get trapped there in the hustle, and I know this for myself. Like, because I had my first business when I was 8, and the reason I had that is because I was always comparing myself to other kids. Like, I grew up in what would be deemed a poor environment in Australia, and I was just comparing myself to other kids, and I was like, it was from a feeling of unworthiness, like I'm not enough. But it gave me this drive to, if I want something more, I've got to create it myself. So that became my pattern through my whole life. It's not sustainable to stay like that, because it had me be like, the work ethic was always there. But everything I ever created was from the hustle, was from that place of not being enough. Like, I've got to create more, I've got to create more, I've got to create more.
I don't know much about you, but that's very interesting.
Yeah. And I think it's very easy for people to get stuck in that and get trapped in the mechanism of the business, rather than finding what is like really pure.
Feels good.
What feels good.
Like really good. Because hustle can still feel good.
Hustle can still feel good.
It's like a smack, right?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I haven't done that one.
But it is. It's an adrenaline smack, whether it's alcohol, drugs, whether it's rock and roll. It doesn't matter. Jumping on a surfboard, there's a hit of energy. Yes. And that's what I mean by that. And hustle can be fabulous. And also it's not sustainable.
Yeah.
And you know that.
Yeah. Well, and this is why, like when I try to explain to people how I live my life now, I spend more hours every day exercising, in ice baths, doing surfing, all these practices around it. And then I work maybe a few hours a day. But the way I explain it is that other stuff that I do, people look from the outside and go, well, that's not work. But to me, it is work. It's just my work has evolved into being that. And I look to somebody like Richard Branson, and it's like, well, how does he seemingly spend his day kite surfing and, playing tennis? And it's like, well, that is his highest value. That is his work. That is the thing that gives him vitality to make it so that when he is doing those things, he's making the phone calls, he's doing in the meetings, he's doing the work.
Isn't it fabulous?
It's like, that is the thing that has him be so in line, so in tune, so on point. Yeah. It is the highest value. And I think, like, that's been an important thing for me to disconnect from that hustle. And I think people need to find whatever their version of that is. So,
my highest value is in the mundane moments. Just simple.
Yeah.
Like really simple life. I live a very simple, gorgeous, calm, yet motivated, driven life, and I love it. And I got to remember that busyness, hustle, makes me feel successful, not money, that this movement. Cynthia's constantly on the move. And I've been through a process somewhat like yours where I would do a retreat or do a whole stint of filming or do something, and I'd be on the couch and there'd be nothing to do and be like, what's wrong with me? I'd be terrible to live with. Terrible to live with. Because I'm a cyclone. But now I've gone through such a beautiful process with my heart to go,
I understand that about
myself.
myself.
Now I understand that about me.
Yeah.
And thank you for holding me up, you beautiful body. Thank you. You know? And you're still holding me up as I lie here and put my feet up.
Yeah.
And I smile because thank God I'm this woman now.
Yeah, and I think, and this is my observation, people who are working 9 to 5 or they're, entrepreneurs and they're working 12 hours a day, it's like the objective is to build the business, to make money so that they can take long vacations or they can retire free or whatever that thing is. And to me, like, it's all just molded into one, like work, life, play. It's all meant to be just molded into one thing.
Thank you. If one more person tells me to have time off, I'm going to hit them.
Yeah.
Because this is my time off.
Exactly. That's how I feel.
This is when I'm lying.
It's like I'm doing a podcast. This is fun as fuck.
I know, right?
But this is work.
I know, right? It's how I go. Don't tell me to take a rest.
Yeah.
I am resting in the mundane.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
That's, amazing. Super cool. One last question for you. Before I do that, let me just acknowledge you for just a second, because I think the work that you do it's really powerful. It's really opening people up to so many things and maybe triggering things in their lives, taking them in directions that you probably never see, right? And I think it's a really beautiful, powerful thing that you're doing, opening people up to healing and vitality and so many different things. So I'll make sure everybody we'll put the links in the show notes and online. Where can we send people? Like, where to Instagram or to your website? Where can people find more about you?
I'm everywhere.
Chef Cynthia Louise. Just Google it.
Doesn't matter where. You'll find
Make sure everyone's got access to that. One last question: if you had the ability to connect a message to every person on the planet, to all of humanity, like what would that one message be?
Oh, that's such a beautiful question. Get to know yourself. Really, the human condition is incredible. We're angry, we're violent, we're happy, we're soulful, we're joyful, we're meditators, we're workers, we have so many different facets of Cynthia. She's not just a chef. I think that if every human could just sit and learn their traits and not try and stop the traits.
Yeah, not judge themselves.
Yeah.
Compare.
Yeah, or she was like this to me because she did this to me. And if we could just stop and sink into when we're angry and what it feels like and go, where did that come from? Oh, wow, that's right. I remember that.
And I think that's real power. That's real power. Yeah. Connecting to yourself in that manner is real power. And then it doesn't matter what happens outside of you. It doesn't matter what this person said or what your mum did to you 40 years ago. It's like, no, the power's with you. The
greatest gift that ever happened to my life was in the sense of when I sink into the life I've spent is I was adopted and I always used to think she abandoned me and she didn't love me. And I always had this toolbox of energetic behavior of you're going to leave me and I'm going to be alone and, and I've always had that. And over the last 12 months, I don't have that anymore because I've gotten to know the actual person that I am and unpack the toolbox and look at it. And I'm like, that kept me alive. And I get that. But what the greatest thing is that I understood my language. And I had this vibrationally thing happen to me one day where I said to myself, oh my God, she had two options, to abort me or to give me life. And she gave me life. Mm-hmm. And I'm focusing on that instead of the story around that. Yeah,
it's not the event of what happened. It's our relationship to that.
I know, and unpacking all those facets that I am from this life.
And everybody's got something. I mean, that's a big story, but everybody's got something. Everybody's got something.
So if you can understand the context in the stories, the behaviours, number one, and get to know yourself.
Because we think that there's something wrong with us.
Totally.
by having these traumas and stuff.
I've been told my whole life there's something wrong with me. You have no idea.
Everybody's got something, man. Everybody. Nobody's...
She's this, she's that, she's this. You don't know how she made me feel. She.
Yeah.
I've been told that my whole life.
Well, I think you're beautiful. I think you're amazing. And your cashew cheese is freaking delicious. And this cookie is next level. So, Chef Cynthia, thank you so much for coming in the studio and joining me. It's been an absolute pleasure. And talk to you real soon.
Beautiful.
Guys, thank you so much for joining again. Go check out Chef Cynthia's everything. Make sure you get yourself involved in this cashew cheese and these cookies, because you're gonna feel like I do, which is freaking amazing. Guys, thanks.